I think that was great questions, great engagement for everybody, so thank you for our first speaker. Our next speaker, born and raised in Baltimore. He's a Baltimore guy, Baltimore. Before taking the dive into entrepreneurship and photo moves and CRM, he was hauling around millions of dollars worth of fine art down the highway at 3 a.m. I'm pretty sure he's the only person in the room that had a gym bag, a spiced Dunkin' Donuts latte cup, and a Georgia O'Keeffe in his trunk. Except maybe Casey or in the previous life. 7 years ago, he and his co-founder of Pixilated came together by way of a mutual friend with an idea. I think you each had the same idea by going to a wedding and seeing the photo booth there and just looking at the opportunity to leverage that type of experience for a consumer and see the value and the opportunity there to build a relationship. So I think from there it sparked a lot of new ideas, and 5.5 years later, they launched a beta version of Pixilated, and Mr. Patrick Wright's going to tell you all about it. So, Patrick?
All right, Pat!
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Good.
I will undoubtedly be serving you a presentation that is way more photo-based and way less bullet point-based, so hope you're ready to transition with me. You saw the previous slide talking about lead generation, like we're in a business center. The thing that businesses need to succeed is customers, and customers begin as leads. So we'll get back to kind of that being the broader point of what we're doing. But at the end of the day, so my talk tonight is called Experiential Lead Capture for CRMs. If you guys happen to take photos of me or you want to send me DMs on my Twitter, that's where you would address it to. So my company is called Pixilated. How many people have lived in Baltimore for 36 months to 5 years? Like a show of hands, right? It's a great chance that I have photos of you somewhere. It's like a massive empire of what we do. So Pixilated, who we are, who I am, what we comprise. We started 7.5 years ago here in Baltimore. The idea that was initially planted in my brain was actually in Maine. There's a wonderful amount of Maine linkage that's going to be happening here, aside from grocery stores tonight. So I was at a lawn wedding, and there was a kind of like endless backdrop with somebody taking analog photos that no one saw that night whatsoever, because digital was not a thing yet. So it was like 1998 or 99. But all the people loving on each other as they were taking pictures was really infectious, because it was like a lawn party with a tent, and the photo thing was set up adjacent to it. And one of the things that was very striking was whether it was the old aunties and grandmas, some were getting up and taking pictures, many of them weren't, but what they were all doing was they were all watching what was going on, because it was very exciting and fun to be able to see people that they know and loved having fun with one another as they were taking photos, and it always resonated with me. So never wanted to start a business or run a business or really touch business at all. I grew up as a musician and an artist, so I wanted to write a record that would allow me to not really engage with the world and just write music for the rest of my life. That didn't really work out the way that I had planned. So for about 10 years, it was always this riff on, that was a cool thing. Like, do you remember that, Jess and Jed's wedding? Do you remember that like cool photo experience? Like, that would be a great business. But again, I was very derogatory to that point of view. So it just kind of like carried on, and it was something that I shared intermittently over the years. Fast forward a decade, no major records to my name, no like huge painting exhibitions launched, and a child handful of weeks away, and I was either considering becoming a nurse, because I got the feels on my side for really getting on the same level with people, and I thought that that might be a good career path for me. And then the other side of it was that I had shared this idea about this photo experience with a friend, and he had always encouraged me to do this business, and I was like, James, not really interested. So James had traveled to Chicago to go to a wedding with his brother-in-law, and at this wedding there was a photo booth experience, and it was really awesome, and it allowed James to see what I had been talking about all those years, but more importantly, it allowed Nick, his brother-in-law, who was there, to say, this is really cool, but there are things that can be much better about it, and this would be a great business. Upon which James said, actually, my friend Pat has always talked about this. So they come back to Baltimore, decide to start this business. James is like, I better run this by Pat, otherwise he's gonna think I stole his idea. Fully expecting me to be like, Godspeed, do it. He called, I thought to myself, it's like so much less math involved in starting a photo booth business than becoming a nurse. Like, side note, not strong in math and science, so I decided that would be a whole lot more fun. In the back of my mind, honestly, I thought this will go 2 years. It'll give me the chance to like write the record I need to write. Like, we'll be off to the races, whatever the case may be. The party line would be that it's stuck, and I ended up being really good at taking all the creative attributes that had powered me through all of my endeavors and repurposing them towards building a business. And what was different about Pixilated that set it apart from my creative pursuits is that for me it didn't feel quite so self-aggrandizing to say, check out this cool company that I've built, as opposed to being like, will you come to, like, I know, like, it's a Tuesday, but will you come see my band again in a bar for like the 4th time this month? That got old really quickly, and that wasn't his play here. So it kind of brought us to this place where we built Pixilated. So Pixilated started, event photo booth company. For years, we were at every bat mitzvah, city paper party, T. Rowe Price holiday party, the whole 9 yards. We were the photo booth guys in the market. And we started it with $3,000, so we had 0 marketing dollars. So we like downloaded every possible HubSpot ebook on Google Plus and Pinterest and SEO, and we steeped ourselves in it, and we read it, and we read it, and we read it. And while it was terrible at helping us build more leads for weddings and bat mitzvahs and all that stuff, what it did do was it educated us subtly, and we didn't really realize what was taking place, but we were building a really cool product that was based on experience, and we were also understanding the nuance of what a brand needs to do to be really successful and to distinguish itself. So after becoming our own brand very early, merely because we didn't want to be perceived as like a mom and pop weekender wedding business, that was teaching us lessons about how we carried ourselves, and we got to a place that you'll shortly see where we started to understand that the photos that we were taking were user-generated content, and that the branding that we were placing on it was allowing us to promote brands inside of the space, and that when you sent yourself the photo in an email, like that email stayed inside of the software, we could pull it back out, and it was lead generation. So all of these things started to kind of like click for us, and we actually met Dan and Andy. So this is a fortuitous talk. So I'm gonna tell the story of how we ended up where we are through our relationship with these guys. So right about now, 4 years ago, would have been immediately after the Pittsburgh Marathon, but prior to Bonnaroo. And Dan and Andy were kind enough to see what we were trying to do, and they introduced us to their clients at GNC, the health nutrition store. So we had gone out and done photo activations in the conferences and expos around the Pittsburgh Marathon, and then at the Finish Line Festival for GNC, and they liked what we were doing, right? So we were taking these cool green screen photos, we were creating an engaging experience for all the runners to actually participate with the brand, we were capturing email addresses for them, creating cool content, helping them drive it onto social, educating the consumer how to share it on social so that way they could track the entire thing. And most importantly, creating a fun, endearing experience with the brand. So, Pittsburgh Marathon went well, and they decided to invite us to go to Bonnaroo with them. So, has anybody been to Bonnaroo before? All right, there you go. My Bonnarooster back there. That is terminology that we learned on the farm. We learned a lot of stuff on the farm. So, Bonnaroo was literally a transcendental experience for us. As we mentioned, branded photos, like people really like to take photos. People love photo experiences. Everybody asks me, my clients all the time say, well, we've got this, like, why aren't they gonna do this? And the tell on that is because people like to participate in curated experiences. If you drink Coke and you're at some big fair and there's like a Coke photo that's gonna like put the polar bears in front of you and they're gonna sit down. Like you're gonna wait in the longest line ever to do that because you identify with it, right? We identify with the brands that are primary to our personality, and that is a very sticky spot to leverage. So, a few more photos. Under Armour's a big client as well. Chicago Marathon, Boston Marathon. This one's for you. This one also for you. Miami Open. You'll see a lot of gratuitous shots of me and myself. Again, feeling myself clearly. This is my business partner, Nicholas Keena. He's the CEO at Pixilated. So here we are, right? We're at Bonnaroo. We're inside this like, here, let me like back up real quick. We're in this like big sweaty tent, right? Big sweaty tent. But this thing is air conditioned, so the people are really sweaty. But we're inside of the space, we're taking these great photos, we're capturing all these email addresses, and we're looking around, and things are resonating with us. So when we go to the farm, that's how they call it. It's nomenclature for Bonnaroovians. For the first time, we're in an environment where we're working with a big brand, but at a really big event. So we had worked with big brands before, with very localistic. So now we're working with a big brand with big goals and objectives, and we're doing it on a very large scale. The other thing that we're doing is we're working with a very large agency for the very first time. And we're there the day before everything gets buttoned up, and we're seeing all of these disparate pieces. They put like RFID bands around our wrists, and we're like, wait, like what is this thing? Like you can connect it to your credit card and you scan it and it like checks you in and it pushes stuff to your app that you've downloaded, and it's this very eye-opening experience for us. But at the same time, we're going inside of GNC's tent and we're taking photos and capturing email addresses, and then there's someone over there, and if you want to get a massage, you like sign up under their like sweaty like paper list. It's someone at some point is going to go and like transcribe, and then if you want to charge your phone, they've got like an iPad, and we're looking at it and thinking, wow, this is so stratified in terms of how the data is being captured. And our immediate question is, why are you guys capturing all of that data like that, and you're capturing ours, and who's going to blend it? Like, are they going to blend it? Are you going to even use this? What's the case going to be? And the kind of great aha moment to us was, wow, we're going to finish in 4 days, and we're gonna get back in this like RV that we rented, and we're gonna drive all the way back to Maryland, and then we're gonna like unload all of our shit, and then we're gonna like set up all of our stuff, because the software we were using was third-party birthday party photo booth software that we just got awesome at white labeling through graphic design, but it did nothing wonderful. Locally based PC software that was keeping everything inside of it. So we had to set it up and offload it all and then compile it and then send it to them. And then they had to do something with it, which is like even further from the truth of what's actually gonna happen. So in the back of our minds, all of this digital marketing that we've been studying for years and years and years starts to click, and we're thinking like, well, God, you know, like we know there are these things called integrations, and like you can connect your MailChimp to like your CRM, and like when you add like somebody signs up for your email list, it just moves it into your CRM. And for us, we're thinking, this is a no-brainer. When someone is here on Friday at Bonnaroo and they're totally exhausted and they're like engaging with the photos and they put it in, like immediately that should maybe be querying them for like, you know, what their zip code might be, or some other defining point, and being entered into GNC CRM. So the next morning they can say, yesterday was killer, you crushed it. You're probably pretty tired. Come on down, get some air conditioning again tomorrow. We've got protein bars, like you ended up in the front row. Like congrats to that. Really sucked and you didn't have any like food in your back pocket to be able to eat, like to keep yourself healthy. I believe their slogan was like refuel before you like go wild again the next day. So we're just thinking, wouldn't it be so relevant if we could move every single user that we're engaging with into their cadence in real time? We couldn't even come close to that. We had the same experiences with Under Armour, being on a mountaintop and engaging with mountain runners and not being able to actually speak apples to apples with them. And instead, all we were able to do was give Under Armour a big batch of data at the end that was very ambiguous. They didn't know how to follow up with it. It wasn't relevant. It wasn't timely. So let me skip through here again. So again, all of our wonderful branded photos. So the long drive back of 81. It was like so long. It was brutally long. I mean, it takes a long time to drive to Tennessee, like just legitimately. And we had a lot of time to really think about what the things that we had learned were. And it was our moment to acknowledge that the tools that we were using and the way that we were doing it was underwhelming. At very best, it was underwhelming, and that what we really needed was proprietary tools that would allow us to capitalize on the aha moments that we were gaining from working with these brands directly, and to really be a partner with them to help them say, like, this is the cadence by which you should be capturing data from. So you're creating a great experience. Now it's your opportunity to build an amazing relationship behind that experience. So it took us a long time from here until now to build what we built. But we came back, we started to strategize, and we figured out how to raise some money and to build a software platform that would do just that. So enter Pixilated. So Pixilated is Pixelated's proprietary software platform. And what it is a digital photo platform that allows us to have everything based in the cloud. It's deployable on Android tablets, so it's incredibly scalable, and it's built with a really robust API. So again, a huge aha moment for us for years and years and years was we should be able to capture an email address and feed it into our clients' CRM, feed it into their email marketing stack, whatever their data stack or their technology is that they're actually carrying that consumer engagement. We should be able to put it there in real time, and then we should be able to educate them how on the back end they should set up their remarketing to fulfill that. So that way, when they meet someone on a mountaintop and they've just run a 50K, the next morning they can say, congratulations, like that was an awesome accomplishment. We're proud of you. We hope you're proud of you as well. Like, here's 10% off of all purchases that you make today in our e-commerce store. Or like, we want to make sure that you recover quickly. Like, check out this line of recovery products that we have built, and they're tailored exclusively to like high endurance trail runners. And we wanted to be able to do that and allow them to not only scale what that effort looks like. So a big part of these brands, when they approach their individual events and they're creating experiences, a lot of times because there was no big broad technology that was scalable to do it, they're working with individual partners in every single market. And what that means is, one, the experience looks very different in every single market, so they can't count on its consistency, but even more so, they certainly can't count on their strategy being able to be carried out the same way in each additional market. And we thought, if we build this platform, it will allow us to really scale what we're doing for them and the vision that we're bringing to really evolve what that strategy is and to deploy it in every single market and have that consistency that is there. So what Pixilated effectively is it is a photo booth app that is built for Android right now. We're going to roll out an iOS version of the app sometime this summer. So an all digital experience that is built with like a full brandability involved in it, but also, you know, an opt-in for terms and conditions and a permission-based opt-in system. So that way, any communications that you want to do, you have full compliance that's applied there. And then ultimately, we're able to aggregate a lot of different data. So whether that's photos, or whether that's email addresses, or whether that's deploying fun quizzes that are helping to define personas inside of a brand's CRM. So when Under Armour is activating at All-American Volleyball, right? There are some very specific questions that make sense to ask. You know, most likely you're probably engaging with a lot of teenage girls who likely play field hockey or soccer in the fall, and in the springtime they probably play lacrosse or they play softball. So like from an affinity category point of view, you start to get a better idea based on these questions that they ask. So a platform that allows us to feed information in from various sources, and then to place it wherever they want to follow up on it. So what it's allowed us to do is to have, like in effect, a super scalable platform that can apply to a ton of different brands and experiences. So whether we're working with the Baltimore Ravens, we're working with GNC, or we're working with the Agora companies to help them with talent acquisition, we're able to be agile as we build things out. And so with our own data set and our own stack. Now we can finally have those discovery meetings with our clients where they say, well, wouldn't it be great if we could do this? You know, before when we were using third-party software that was built for someone's birthday party, we had no access to actually improve upon our ideas. And this allowed us to really say, we can do anything that you want to do, and we can make it even more incredible than you can possibly imagine. So, move back because that's a little bit. It was tweaking me out, so I can't imagine how you guys are feeling right now. So, like, where are we going? What does the future hold? We've got a handful of enterprise clients that we're working with now, and what's really exciting is we have created this primary photo booth app, if you will, and that was always the core of our strategy. But we never at any point, so we got into Bonnaroo and we were literally like, oh shit, like we can give them a tablet to like sign people up for massages, and then like we would be like, hey, there's the massage list and there's the photo booth list, and then also like the phone, the people writing it down on the paper, like why don't we just give them a tablet for that too? And we can give that to them and we can say, okay, now we're capturing multiple data points. So the vision for PixiCloud and where it's gonna go is, how do we look at the ecosystem that we're in, the ecosystem that we're trying to help our clients be better in, and identify all of the other opportunities that aren't happening as well as we're carrying out our goals inside of that space, and figure out how our insights and our technology can feed into that. So we've always, part of our philosophy is, don't suck, like don't suck, don't pass the buck. And what that's translated to is anytime we're involved in some kind of larger experience, like most likely we're gonna give feedback on things that we think can be better. Because at the end of the day, if those things were better, we would probably be performing better as well, right? So like the total ecosystem has a really big impact on how authentic the experience is. And we want to make sure that where there are insights that we're able to provide a better experience globally, that's where we're going to be looking to improve what Pixilated is doing and where our productization happens. So, some very core partners that exist for us would be like a company like Cvent or a company like SplashStat. These large, or Eventbrite, these large experiential touch point companies where they're registering you for their events and they're handling the entire kind of digital ecosystem. But what they don't do great is they don't create experiences that are amazing, experiences that really develop that wow for consumers to engage with, and then take that information that they're getting in exchange for that experience and placing it where the brand is actually going to deploy against it in real time. So I use the terminology, the social CRM, a lot. Like, that's bullshit. We're not a CRM. We're a bolt-on to the CRM, right? So like we're not trying to be your CRM. We're trying to be the engagement point that is really feeding your CRM with the most relevant of people. One of the things that we would get dinged on a ton when we were working with larger brands early on is they would say, well, like, great, like, this is cool, you guys captured like 900 email addresses, but like, 30% of them have showed up multiple times, right? And they think, well, that's just a double. Like, you didn't get 900, it's actually got 710. But what we pointed out is those are your power users. Like, those aren't just duplicate emails. Those are people that are doubling down and tripling down on engaging with your brand. And rather than excluding them as a double or a triple, what you should be doing is identifying them as your power users. So we're working towards taking all of that information and all of that insight to continue to build interesting products. So whether it's photo experiences or whether it's quizzes that are really helping to define the 2 or 3 personas that a brand is engaging with at that specific event, and figuring out how we create a cool opportunity to engage that really acknowledges that consumer for who they are in the moment, and then speaks to them in a way that is intimate and really honors where that conversation began. There's a huge delta between second and third party data and first party data, and we believe that things that start with a first-party data initiation where you really understand where that conversation started with the brand is the be-all, end-all of what the long-term value of that customer-brand relationship is going to be. And we think that we've built a product that is really going to create an awesome experience that builds on that opportunity. So I don't want to talk too long. I already talked too long, 29 minutes, but if anybody in the room that knows me knows that I've done pretty well because I am definitely, I'm long-winded. So I'm very excited to hear any questions or ideas that people have that they want to ask.
Questions?
Patrick, as it relates to the experience, because again, you and I, there's a quick protocol. You give me an email address, I'm going to give you something back. Is your software tied into that next step on the customer side via social? Like, could they post via social? You're getting something, you're then extending the brand out via social, the consumer's social, which is almost twice as valuable as their own.
Sure.
But can you do that from the experience?
Sure, yeah. So, like, awesome question, and yeah, I mean, what we're talking about
I wasn't
is,
seated in the
I mean, but you know, like what we're talking about is like the most idealized version of influencer marketing, right? From like a micro level. How do I get into that mom's Instagram feed and know that she's going to post something, and that in her PTA and her social circle, she's a major influencer, and all of her friends are watching, and there's that great opportunity. And so the short answer is yes. The long answer is depends on what you're trying to do. So up until this point, we've always put a real predicate on serving our photos via email. And that's for a few reasons. One, people generally don't want to log into their Facebook account on some ambiguous kiosk. Two, they also don't remember their password because they're always logged in here, right? So like, I couldn't log into my Facebook account right now if I needed to because Google's been taking care of it for me for years and years and years. The other side is that posting onto social media is like an intimate experience. Like, tell me that there's a person in the room who posts regularly on Instagram and doesn't like write the copy and erase it 3 times before they actually post it, right? So there's like an intimate thing that goes into like wanting to craft it because you're trying to embody your personality as well. And then the third point is that you get a data point in exchange versus when you're just having someone post. So it is absolutely possible. What we try and say is when it's a one-size-fits-all kind of experience, we'll tell you these are our best practices, and this is what we think is going to allow you to get the most engagement, to not creep people out, and also to get the most in exchange for it. That being said, there are very targeted programs where we work on that there is a very specific agenda towards it, and none of the other stuff that we think is valuable is actually valuable in that campaign level. And so for those instances, it would be more of a scenario of saying, like, let's work backward. What is the end best case scenario for Hannaford to do this campaign that we're gonna do? And then how do we walk back through our technology and our experiences to accomplish exactly what that goal is? Does that answer your question?
Questions?
Yes?
So, super interesting, sort of following your journey and evolution as you talked about it. I thought that was fascinating to begin with. You talked about first party, second party, and third party data and some of the integrations you've built to be able to deliver things to your brand partners.
Yeah.
Who owns the data when it goes into your application?
So we do and they do. So we own all of the global data, if you will. So every one of our clients, ostensibly, and then each of our individual clients owns their own data. There's like an interesting fork in the road. So from our point of view, we don't touch any of our clients' data so far. Who knows what will happen down the road? We do have a philosophy about like decreeping as much as possible. We're not trying, you know, like I'm not really trying to be acquired by NSA. You know, like I'm not trying to really get into like that whole big side of data that is frankly just not, you know, not healthy, not the kind of thing that we aspire to. We didn't aspire to build something along those lines. The other side of it, though, is what's interesting about this platform is it also becomes this watering hole where lots of brands can come, right? So a prime example of this would be M&T Bank Stadium, right? So if you can imagine these devices, so Ravens are a client for us, not at scale yet. They haven't bid on this thing that I'm gonna float out there. So Facebook Live, Ravens people that are watching, I'm gonna sell it to the Cowboys like ASAP, so you better like get on it. So photo experiences at a football game, right? Like knock down, drag out, no questions asked. Baltimore Ravens are actively trying to build their email database. So we deployed 5 kiosks on the Ravens Walk, like a bunch on the first level, a bunch in the private suites, a bunch on the top. We build the photo program into the app, right? First game of the season comes out. It's all of a sudden it is it's in effect. What do they call it? Oh God, it's like such a basic word. It's inventory, right? It's ad inventory for them to be able to sell. So AAA comes in, they buy Ravens Walk. People are taking photos. After they take a photo, before they hit send, it says, like, are you a AAA customer? Yes or no, right? The end of every game, AAA pulls a list and says, we've got X amount of qualified leads of people that gave us their email address and said, no, I'm not a AAA customer. Inside of the ground floor, it gets sold to Geico, right? Inside of the suites, Constellation buys it because they already buy everything that happens inside of the suites. Top deck, it all goes to Michelob. Inside of the app, it goes to someone else, right? Then the opportunity is, it's Susan G. Komen weekend, right? And now everything that they want to do becomes a partnership in every single one of those spaces. Also, M&T Bank are the primary sponsor of the entire space. So it becomes this revenue building opportunity that's also aggregating data, but it also becomes a place where all of these brands can come to play and participate with one another, and it drives the fan experience, and you can move the content, you can gamify it, right? So all of a sudden everyone's in the stands. I know they have some game where it's like pull out your Ravens app and tap the screen as fast as possible, and we'll decide which section tap their screens like the most inside of 10 seconds. Well, the same thing goes with pull out your photo app, like take a selfie, top 5 selfies are going onto the Jumbotron in like 20 seconds, and then all of a sudden Susan G. Komen is getting all this branding that's happening because everything is pink and it's illustrating this greater partnership. So it's a great question that you asked. Clearly, like I've got a lot of answers for it, but the data is an interesting place because there's a lot to suss out with it, and I think we're just starting to scrape at it now. To our expectation, we will be asked so many of those hard questions, and there'll be a lot of deep thoughts that we'll have to figure out how to have around what is our role and how do we continue to have real ethical point of view as we go forward.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Under Armour and I want a list of people that have done a photo at an event that was a GNC event because that intersects with my target.
Totally, right, and right. So then all of a sudden, like, what marathons do you go to? Because UA Run wants to use all the data that you captured at every single marathon across their entire ecosystem to redeploy it out there is a very relevant point of view. Yeah. Anybody else? Awesome. Well, so the panel is going to be awesome. So we'll cut it down there. I'll have more chances to gab. I will be around for the rest of the night. Excited to talk to everyone. Thanks everyone for coming out. Andy, Dan, the rest of the Response Labs team. Thank you guys for having me. Thanks everyone for coming.